It's very true. We can change the definition of marriage. Okay, nothing stops us. The question I would put on the table is, do we think that the idea there is no difference, now we're not talking about people, we're talking about relationships. Are same-sex unions really just the same as a union of husband and wife with regard to marriage? Before gay marriage was ever on the horizon, what I went around the country saying is, the ideal for a child is his married mother and father, raising him in a decent, average, good enough marriage. I still think that there is something special about the unions of husbands and wives, and that it is not discrimination to treat different things differently.
Well, one of the things that's on the table is that a family is a family, and if they love each other and they're raising children together, they have to be able to protect them legally. So I don't think that society has the right to tell us who to love. And by virtue of that, I don't think that society has the right to interfere in our protection of that love or that family structure. I also don't agree that children only have mothers and fathers. As we've expanded and our knowledge of humanity has expanded, we've found other ways to conceive children. We have large population of children that are living without families. We need to provide protection for those homes. Marriage is one way to do that. There are many couples living in married situations that can either choose not to have children or cannot have children. There are also many senior citizens that choose to get married late in life that having a child is no longer an option for them. They need marriage protection for a score of other reasons.
My point with this ad was primarily to help us build an activist organization to fight for what we think is right, and I think it was a successful ad for us. The things that we said, I think, are true.
This PSA overall scares me. I'll tell you the truth. I'm the one that's really scared. I'm afraid someone's actually going to see it and believe it. And that really scares me, I'll tell you. Talk about inflammatory misrepresentation and fabrication. This is the epitome of those things. I'm really frightened that there's anyone in the world that thinks that 10% of the population wanting to protect its family could possibly have those kind of that kind of power over any society. The general tone is pro-homophobia. It's dangerous and it's misleading, and it claims that church groups are being punished by government when the bills plainly say that they're not going to be forced to do that, and I believe in the bills that are put forth by my representatives. I just have so much to say about this, and none of it good. It depicts these people as victims, and it's an insult to the entire gay community that has been living in the world of hate crimes. This only perpetuates those myths. It only helps those people that are responsible for these hate crimes have a right to do those things, as any second-class status would do to any kind of community.
These things happened, okay? It was the tax-exempt status of a religious charity because they refused to, in Ocean Grove, you can look it up, because they refused to permit same-sex ceremonies on their boardwalk pavilion that they permitted weddings on.
Oh, that's not
okay?
true. I know this.
The physician, that is what happened.
The Ocean Grove synagogue was given a tax bill because they denied the couple the chance to rent their hall that they sell to people to hold their receptions in. It had nothing at all to do with holding the religious ceremony in the synagogue. It had all to do with the commercialization of their space. Well, I'll tell you the first difference between this PSA and National Organization for Marriage's PSA is that we are actually in this, and I say we because I'm a member of this community, we are actually talking about ourselves. We are not talking against our opponents.
Well, I think it is a good ad for your side, and there's a lot that I would agree with in it. What I think you don't recognize unless you're in the other side, that the no hate label is in itself that's what I mean by delegitimating opposition. It suggests that the 7 million Californians who disagree with you on gay marriage are haters. I'm used to it now. I mean, I think that this is a result of a movement which has said to itself, this is our right, whether you disagree with it or not. There is no argument against it, and if you make an argument, we're going to have a hard time hearing it or processing it.
I'm fully supportive of having equal rights. How would you feel if you got those rights, but under a different name?
We tried that. It's called civil union. Doesn't work.
Well, that's because the government's not working it. What if the government...
The reason it doesn't work is because husband and wife is a term that people recognize, and they instantly know who that person is. Would you know if I said this is my civil union partner? Would you? Okay, civil unions are not portable. Civil unions are not the same in every jurisdiction. Civil unions are not all-encompassing. They do not, no matter how many times people tell you they do, cover everything that a marriage covers. There have been studies on it, and it fails.
Maggie, you said you care about families, and so I'm wondering maybe I'm confused. Exactly what empirical claim are you making about the effects of gay marriage on families?
I think it would take several generations, but I think it is an empirical claim. I think that it is not, that over time, the government's idea with marriage equality is going to trump the idea that there's something important about mothers and fathers raising children. It will affect the way it is already affecting the way the next generation thinks about marriage. If you go to the logic of what is marriage, what is it for, increasingly it will become clear that marriage is a word that means my soulmate, and its connection to this other phenomenon of connecting sex, love, money, mothers and fathers, and children is going to be severed. The primary reason it's a core social institution is that it's trying to increase the number of children who are raised by their own mother and father. The only way, if you're attracted to the opposite sex, you can do that is by first entering a publicly supported, enduring, sexually faithful union.
So
if you don't do that,
shouldn't be
your
entitled to that
children,
same union.
well, no, you don't want that union. You want some other union, and you want to insist that the whole society view that as a marriage. That's why you were talking at cross purposes.
I'm sorry, I think I'm confused. So my
same-sex
dedication and love and respect for my chosen partner is not as good as
it may be better, but it's
heterosexual
not a marriage. It may be better than a marriage. It's probably better than my marriage to hear you talk about it. I wouldn't talk about my marriage in such glowing terms.
Well,
and
I personally
could do
think
it.
my wife is better than most people, but that's
Actually, by the way, the research shows that's the key to a happy marriage, is if you think your spouse is getting a better deal than you are.
But it's not a marriage, right? So how could I be in a happy marriage? It's not.
That's what I think. I think that even if the government of New York says it, that it's not a marriage.